Today we are discussing the problem of recessionary gap or deficient demand and its solution or measure suggested by J.M. Keynes. How can we remove this recessionary gap from the economy? So what measure has been suggested by J.M. Keynes? So as we know that this is the equilibrium in the economy where aggregate supply or y is equal to AE line of reference or aggregate supply line. This is the aggregate demand or aggregate expenditure, which is the sum of consumption and investment. Both are intersecting at this point. This is the equilibrium level of income in the economy. Here we have taken income and employment level. Here we have taken on y-axis AE or AD, we can say. At this E point, aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply or income is equal to expenditure, aggregate expenditure. That's why this is the point of equilibrium in the economy. But now suppose this is not the level of full employment. Full employment is suppose here at this level by N. This is the full employment level. At this full employment level, now we can see that there is the gap between aggregate supply and aggregate demand or income and expenditure. This is suppose point E1 and this is suppose N. So this is the gap between aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Here aggregate demand is less than aggregate supply. That's why it is called deficient demand. And this deficiency of demand creates recessionary gap. How can we remove this recessionary gap from the economy? Keynes has suggested that in this situation, the government has to increase its investment or expenditure. By increasing government expenditure, we can increase the level of aggregate demand because the expenditure or the investment is the part of aggregate expenditure. So when the government will increase its investment or expenditure, then there will be this new aggregate demand line, which is the sum of C plus I plus delta I or delta G. Delta I, this is the delta I or delta G. Delta I and a change in investment. This is the increase in investment or this is the increase in government expenditure. When government expenditure or investment will be increased, then aggregate demand will shift upward and now it will intersect this Y line of reference or aggregate supply line at this point E1. And this equilibrium is on full employment level. That's why this was previously underemployment equilibrium. This is the underemployment equilibrium at this point E because this was the full employment level which was not achieved through this equilibrium. Now at this E1 point, this is a new equilibrium point and here we have obtained full employment level. That's why it is called full employment equilibrium. This is the full employment equilibrium at E1 because this is the full employment level, and this level of aggregate demand is called effective demand, and this is very important concept in Keynesian theory, effective demand. That's why the Keynesian theory is called effective demand theory, because the objective in the economy is to obtain this level of aggregate demand, which is known as effective demand. So this is the concept. If you have any doubt, then you can comment us and we will try to solve your doubts in our next video. Thank you.